welcome to another episode of Game Overcast. My name is David Kaelin. I am the Game Over CEO, and as I do every week, I pull an hour out of my time, of my very busy schedule, to do this show. and it's a lot of fun. I was telling Dan earlier, it's probably my most enjoyable hour of the week because I'm not having to pay bills or respond to emails or deal with labor shortages and shipping issues and all the other kind of crap that comes with running a business. So, I'm not 100% comfortable doing this, but sadly, I'm more comfortable doing this now than many other aspects of my life. So there you go. So thank you for giving me an hour of sanity per week. But I'm back. Last weekend, I went to Washington to visit the stores up there. Did a lot of work. I was there, I think, 3 days, and I worked over 40 hours. So I don't know what the math is there, but I put in a lot of hours. I think on Friday, I got on, I got up at 5 to get on a plane, and 5 in Texas would have been 3 o'clock there, and then I worked there until midnight. So I think I was awake 21 hours in a row. I don't know. It was a lot. But so I was definitely a little edgy, and not necessarily my cheery, chipper self. So sorry to Washington employees about that, because they had to deal with me last weekend being very high strung and tired. But I had a good visit. The stores up there look great. Staff is great. We're still looking for a store manager for the Tacoma store. So if you know anybody up there who's looking, who has retail management experience, tell them to email info@gameovervideogames.com. So we do need a manager at that Tacoma store. But otherwise, everybody's doing great. Stores look good. Yeah, it's just been a crazy, crazy weekend. No break, no days off for me in weeks now. But I'm fine. I'm not crazy at all. So let's see. We also got some great customer feedback, and I think probably my favorite part of the trip up there was just being in the Tacoma store. And of course, I'm buzzing around doing work, and a lot of my stuff I've been doing in the stock room and stuff like that. But when I come out into the store, that store is so busy. It's in a very busy mall. And so it's been really fun for me to come out into the store, and you can hear customers coming in, and a lot of them, are finding the store for the first time. And so I hear a lot of people, the first time experience at Game Over, where it's always oh my gosh, I remember that game, and I remember that game, and this is so cool, and all this, nobody's seen such a kind of big, fully, stocked and organized, retro store like that. You see maybe a little bit of retro at other places, but we really do it up, bigger than most at Game Over. And so anyway, just me hearing out of the corner of my ear, I guess, all the kind words and compliments and stuff, and people digging the store. It's really great. So, it's weird. I was talking to Dan about this before the show that, there's a lot of great things about running your own business, a lot of, positives that come with it in life. But it's definitely stressful. And at times it's definitely very, very isolating. Very, you feel alone a lot. You don't feel, supported because you don't, your employees all work for you, but you pay them. And, you don't really get a lot of feedback because you don't get a review every year. You don't have a boss breathing down your neck or retraining you on things because you are the boss. So you often don't get that positive feedback from people in your life, and so it's something that I think is probably one of the worst things of running a business for yourself is you don't really know, you don't have a big friend group, because most of my friends basically are employees, since that's where I bury myself, most of my life, and I pay them. So most of my friends I pay, which is weird to say out loud, and sad, but yeah, it's a strange situation, and you don't have a lot of positive feedback loops, because anybody telling you, oh yeah, or yeah, great idea, or let's do that, there's always a sense of well, you're just saying that because I pay you, and you don't want to conflict with me, but I actually want to know what is your honest opinion, what do you really think, and sometimes you don't get honest feedback or positive feedback, or support. And so it's sometimes very lonely, at the top at running your own business. And so, it's definitely a tough psychological, aspect of the job to kind of get through. But anyway, but being in Washington and hearing this customer feedback, anytime I get to visit the stores, I really enjoy. I like getting out of that office over there and getting out into the public and interacting with customers. Whenever I go to a store, if customers come in, I'll just start chatting them up. They just assume, I work there. I'm just like an oddly old employee in the store, but I love it. I love chatting with them, and I miss that part of the job when I used to work in the stores physically. So anyway, I got some of that time last weekend in Washington, and it was really nice to be out mingling with customers in the store and just chatting with people and hearing all that positive feedback of people loving the store and the company, and being just kind of thrilled with what we do, and it makes me feel good. So it makes me want to go on and keep moving forward. So thank you, people of Washington, for that support. So anyway, that is everything on my trip. And so now let's get into the show and get into the main segments of the show. So we're going to go to level 1 and do current events. So what's happening in the world of gaming? And we're back with level 1, current events. So what's going on in the world of gaming this past week? In national news, we've got a couple of announcements to make. Let's see. Coming up, June 13th, the new and improved PlayStation Plus service is coming to the U.S. So we talked about that on the show. They're going to have 3 different levels, between $10 to $18 a month. The top level has 700 games included. So it's not quite every game like day of release like the Xbox plan, but it's close. And so, they're definitely moving everything to that, the Netflix model. You pay by the month, you get a very, very large amount of content to consume. And that's just kind of the way gaming is going. So it's coming, just, I guess about a month out now. Also, both PlayStation and Xbox are now planning to do ads in your video games. So there have been ads in there before, but they're normally like coded in. They're built into the game. So this is actually designing a game on purpose with a blank billboard or a blank, background at a stadium, or like signs on the side of a 18-wheeler driving down the street in a game. And they're going to do that on purpose, like not design that vehicle, because they want companies to pay for it. So like, Coca-Cola will pay them and they'll make it a Coke truck, driving down the street delivering Coca-Cola, or, have like I guess they can advertise beer and cigarette. They could do beer.
On the rating.
Yeah. I guess they could advertise, whatever, maybe a beer billboard at a football stadium in a Madden game or something. But anyway, there's going to be customizable, product placement and ads that'll be updated all the time. So I guess if you're not connected online, it'll just be blank, or it'll maybe say Sony or Xbox or something on it. But then for the people that pay, they can put that the Coca-Cola image or whatever on there, and they'll have to keep paying, because it'll be like naming rights to a stadium. They'll have to keep paying, and they'll have like a 5-year deal to have it say. I don't know, like I keep coming back to Coca-Cola. I don't know why. I'm not doing an ad for Coca-Cola. So how about Balls? I'm looking right now at a huge stack of Balls energy drink delivery. I've got big balls right there. So if Balls pays for an ad, in this game, they'll have like a 5-year deal, and there'll be Balls trucks driving down the street. The like NPCs, in the game will all be wheeling like carts full of balls to the local stores and everything. And then once that runs out, those things all disappear, or they're all just blank or like generic NPCs, or I don't know. Anyway,
as long as it doesn't interrupt gameplay, I don't care.
Okay, Dan's saying he doesn't mind if it doesn't interfere with gameplay.
I just don't stop my game to show me a commercial.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to stop the game, but like, I think it's distracting if it changes all the time. I mean, I understand ads have been in games for a long time, and so you're used to seeing a billboard, even if it's like a generic thing. In the old days, they would have generic billboards because they weren't smart enough to like actual market to actual companies. But it would just be like, I don't know, like Raindrop Soda or something, some weird name that they would just make up for the game that would maybe seem relevant if it was a game, in that kind of world. Like it's a game of rainbows, and so it's like Raindrop Soda, and that's kind of goes together. I don't know. But now it's like, it's big money. It's like sports. They want to license everything. So, your character is going to have like patches like NASCAR on their shirts. They're going to go into a store that's going to be branded in a certain way. They're going to be trucks and cars driving in the street with little signs on the side of them. The billboards are going to be customized. it's going to start small. It's going to start innocent. It's going to start, like Dan said, it's going to be like, well, it's not that different. It's just, instead of permanently being a Coca-Cola billboard, now it's Coca-Cola this week, and next week maybe it's Pepsi, and next week maybe it's, Mountain Dew or something else. And like, who cares? It's still a billboard. You're just blowing past it in the game, not even really looking at it. But it's a pretty big change. DLC was bad because people don't like having to pay for the game over and over and over again. And this is kind of a way to put DLC on the companies, like the advertisers. Mm-hmm. And so the gamers, some people like Dan's saying, like, well, it doesn't affect me, but it does. Like, if your advertisers are now, just like people don't like having to pay over and over again kind of for the same game just to get different skins and different upgrades and whatever, the companies aren't going to like that either. And they're going to pass those costs along too. So, in their products, whatever it is, like Coca-Cola, if they're doing that, now their advertising budget goes way up because they got to keep paying every year to PlayStation to keep that ad going. So their products go up. And I mean, that's how inflation starts. It's the price goes up on one thing and people are like, oh, well, that sucks. But they don't realize, like, well, because of that, now the price goes up on this thing. And that sucks. And then this goes up and that helps this to go up. And eventually everything is going up and nobody knows why and nobody can stop it because it's this like chain reaction. So anyway, so I'm not a big fan. But that is what it is. That's the way it's going. Digital, multiple payments, microtransactions, that kind of stuff. But it's going now to businesses for advertising. So in other news, I have a whole segment today on video game movie news because I started to like writing down news stories and there's like a bunch of stuff going on related to video game movies. So I have a whole segment on that today. So now it's time for video game news or movie news. So in video game movie news, the Sonic 2 movie, which we all know is out, it's doing really well. It's done over $146 million at this point. Yeah, that's a lot of money. That's big budget stuff. So 3 weeks out in the U.S., 146 million. That's just here in the U.S. That's not counting like around the world, which is normally where they make all their money nowadays because we're just a small part now of the global movie market. But yeah, 146 million. It's the highest grossing video game movie of all time. So it's passed up, Uncharted. It's passed up Tomb Raider. It's passed up, Mortal Kombat. All of those, even the first Sonic movie. So, and it's still going. It's only 3 weeks out, so it's still in the theaters now. So I mean, it's down, but it's like it's not out yet. It's still making money. And then we've got Paramount and Sega are working on Sonic 3 already. So the next movie's coming soon. And there's going to be a Knuckles TV series that they're working on. So all that's coming up. More Sonic movies and spin-offs from Sonic movies. So yeah, Sonic movie news alone is a lot to report. Then we got the Nintendo movie. They're doing a Super Mario movie, the animated one that's going to have Chris Pratt and a bunch of Hollywood actors pretending to be or doing the voices of the Mario characters. So that movie was going to come out, I think, late this year, but now that's been pushed back to next year. So that's going to be 2023. They're saying now April 2023. So exactly 1 year from now, it's going to be coming out. And then in other movie news for video games, Sega's working on a live-action Streets of Rage movie.
Hey.
Yeah, so Dan's excited about that one. So you know what's even more cool than that, though? I mean, like Streets of Rage, that's cool.
Yeah.
And you would think, like, well, what kind of movie that'd be? Okay, it's probably like, like an 80s action movie, right? Like just guys fighting in the street, like fist fights and bloody stuff. But then you think, well, it's based on a video game, so it'll probably be kind of cheesy. They had like that Double Dragon movie in the 80s. Do you remember that?
I don't remember that.
You don't remember that?
No.
They had a Double Dragon movie.
I don't remember that at all.
It had, who was the actor in there? I can't remember. I think one of the Double Dragon guys, I don't remember which one, but it was the guy from, what was that show? Party of Five, I think. Is it Party of Five? Is Party of Five or Dawson's Creek? It was one of those shows that like every teenager was like real into back in the 90s. But he, one of these guys, was one of the Double Dragon guys. Anyway, so that was a bad video game movie. But you'd think it'd be something cheesy like that, right? But apparently, the Streets of Rage movie that they're working on, the script is being written by Derek Kolstad. Do you know who Derek Kolstad is, Dan? Nope. Okay. He's the guy that created and wrote all the John Wick movies.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
That's what I said.
You had my
Yeah.
Curiosity.
I was like, Streets of Rage. I'm like, oh, that might be fun, like an '80s kind of action, movie kind of vibe. But when they said John Wick, I was like, oh, so it might actually be like intense and really bloody and like R-rated video game movie. So that's cool.
Yeah, it should be.
But it is. I mean, it's bloody knuckle, like drug lords and undercover police and like just
Let's do it.
it's Streets of freaking Rage.
Yeah, I'm all about it.
So Dan's excited about that one. So I was excited about that too. I love the John Wick movies. Love them so much. Anyway, so very excited about that. And what else do we have? And the only other news to point out too, I just wanted to point out a couple of new products we had in the stores.
Yes.
I'm going to have a bigger section in the feature of today's show about something else, but I did want to mention two things, which are, speaking of fighting in the streets, Ninja Gaiden.
Beautiful.
Do you know how many people say Gaiden? What do you think's the ratio of people to say Gaiden to Gaiden?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
That's not an answer.
A lot.
A lot. Yeah. Anyway, but yeah, so we got both of those. We've got Volume 1 and 2. So Volume 1 is, let's see, the arcade game and the NES game. And then Volume 2 has numbers 2 and 3 of the NES games. So these are vinyl video game soundtracks for Ninja Gaiden.
Neato.
I believe that's how you say it.
Gaiden.
It's Gaiden. It's not Gaiden.
Gaiden.
I don't think.
Ninja Gaiden.
Ninja Gaiden, that dude that throws the metal thingies. Yeah, that's it. So anyway, those are in our stores now. So go by your local Game Over Video Game store or pick those up online at gameovervideogames.com. Thank you. That's it for news. So let's go on to Level 2 and company events and see what's going on at your local Game Over Video Game store. And we're back with Level 2 company events. So what's going on right now at your local Game Over Video Game store? Well, we do have sales. We have sales every week. If you don't know what they are, you should sign up for our email list. You can do that in our stores. It doesn't cost you anything. You don't have to buy a magazine or anything like that. All you have to do is give us your email address and say, I'd like to get emails for free once a week. That's cool. Then we'll set you up. But so the emails, they normally come out on Thursdays. The sales start on Friday, and they go Friday through Thursday. So that's kind of how the structure works. So the sale going on right now as you're watching the show, because you're a first week watcher, right? You're not somebody that watches like, a year down the road, or maybe you're watching this show like 10 or 20 years down the road, and we're long gone, but you're still seeing my youthful face, and now I'm old and decrepit. Because it'll live on forever on YouTube, right? Like at least the video portion of the show. Do podcasts live forever too? I guess they do.
Forever.
But you'll never know how old I am on the podcast. So if you're a podcast listener, you could think I'm already 100 years old or that I'm 20 years old. You don't even know. But yeah, for the YouTube people, you're seeing me at this exact moment in time, and this is what my face looks like. So I'm not very young, but I'm not very old. I'm just kind of in the middle, the uncomfortable middle age. Anyway, back to sales. So sale going on right now in this world is from April 29th through May the 5th. There's a sale on our CD soundtracks and DVDs and UMD movies. So basically all movies and soundtracks except the big honking vinyl records like these, because we don't discount those, because that's what all the kids want, is they want this highly portable music device that requires a machine about this big to play.
That's retro gaming.
That's the kids today. The kids today like their huge electronics and huge media devices. It's the latest rage. But everything else, all the smaller, older stuff, like DVDs and CDs that nobody really wants anymore, that stuff's on sale. Shocking, right? How that works. But yeah, so all the CDs and DVDs are 50% off. It includes movies on PSP also, called UMDs. So those are included too. 50% off. If you don't live near a local Game Over store, I'm sorry. That really sucks for you. But seriously, you can shop online at GameOverVideogames.com and use coupon code SAVE50. SAVE50. Yes. Okay. So that's that sale. Trade and Bounty still going on this month, and this month is almost over. There's only a few days left. So Nintendo 64s and GameCube hardware, we want them. We need them. Please bring them in. We're paying $80 cash minimum. You get more if you bring games, extra controllers, all that kind of good stuff. But if you just have the basic machine, a Nintendo brand controller, and the hookups, and it works and looks, good. $80, easy. Come in, walk out with $80 in your hand, like cash money. Love it. So bring that in. That ends April 30th, which is like just in a few days. Then in May, the next sale from May 6th through May 12th, we're doing a sale on Game Gear, Game Boy, and Game Boy Color games. The games for those are all going to be 20% off. So Dan, make a note of that. Dan's excited. That's May 6th through May 12th. So like the second week of May. 20% off. If you shop online, you can use coupon code GB20 for Game Boy 20, but just GB20 to get that 20% off online. And then in May, we have a new bounty going on for trades. So, we always buy everything. So bring us anything. Bring us Atari games, Nintendo games, Sega, Xbox, old stuff, current stuff, just middle stuff that nobody really wants anymore. Bring that to us. We buy it all. But in May, our focus is going to be on Switch games. So we're trying to build up the Switch collections in our stores. So bring us Switch games. Each store is going to have a bounty for certain Switch titles. It's going to be different at each store. So go around to all the Game Over stores and see what each store really needs the most or what customers have been asking for there. And if you can help us, hook us up, bring us your unwanted or finished Switch games. We're going to pay more money for those. So check out your local Game Over store for details on that. And let's see, in Game Overcast news. Hey, I'm even reporting news on the show.
Hey.
Am I stuck in a time loop? How is that possible?
Yeah. Is it about news from the show, on the show, for the show?
It's not about news on the show for the show, but it is news of the show for the show that I'm reporting on the show.
Right now.
Right now.
Later you can watch
I'm on the show.
News about the show from the show.
No, Dan thinks I'm going to report the news from the show on the show later show, but no, it's now on the show. I'm going to report the show news that's going to happen in the future on the show, but I'm reporting it now.
Oh.
Yeah, see? Okay, cool. So, in Game Overcast news, we normally film this show on Wednesdays.
Glad we cleared that up.
Yeah, it's totally clear now. You're clear, right, viewers and listeners? You know what I mean, right? Total sense. Makes total sense. So normally we would record the shows on Wednesday and post them on Thursdays. And we're going to change that just a little bit, and we're going to start recording on Thursdays and post on Fridays. So not a huge change, but next week, instead of waiting a week for the next show, you're going to have to wait 8 days. So I'm sorry. So I know you're going to get a little jittery by that 6th or 7th day. So go back, watch a couple of old ones, and you can calm down and just savor the older shows for a little bit longer, and then the new one will be there for you next Friday. So that's our plan. So sorry about the change. I hope that doesn't impact anybody's, drive to work where you like listening to our podcast, or, your time at work when you're supposed to be working, but instead you have like a little window with our Game Overcast show playing. You shouldn't do that. Don't let your boss catch you. We'll get in trouble. And all you students doing that at school, definitely do the podcast only, because you can listen to it in your earbuds while the teacher's talking over there, and he doesn't even know what you're doing. So that doesn't really impact you at all. Okay, in other Game Over news, let's see, events. Hey, it's almost event time. You like events, right? You like tournaments? You like playing in games? Do you like free stuff?
No.
Yeah. Wait. Dan says he likes tournaments and events, but he doesn't like free stuff. Well, that's just weird. Okay, well, we do events, and they are free in the stores every month. It's the second Saturday of the month. So the next one coming up in May, it's going to be May the 14th. That's the second Saturday of May. So these stores in Bellevue, Washington, South Austin, Arlington, Texas, the San Antonio Selma location, and the Houston 1960 location, all 5 of those Game Over stores are doing free retro gaming tournaments. What games are they playing? I don't know. Look them up.
Probably.
This is where the viewers have to do some work on their own. Because, I have notes on some stuff, but I can't tell you everything. You got to do some of your own research. But seriously, you just go to their local Facebook pages, and they'll post what games they're doing and the rules and stuff like that, and when to sign up. Normally it's Sunday or Saturday nights. It's around 5 or 6 o'clock. So go have fun. It's totally free, casual, open to the public. Gamers, young, old, and middle-aged like me. You'll get a wide variety of people. But you get to meet some local, gamers in your area, and it's fun. It's free, and you might win stuff. So come check it out, and check their local Facebook pages for the full details on that. So lots of fun. In CGF news, Classic Game Fest, the biggest retro gaming event in Texas.
Can't wait.
Dan says he's excited. I'm excited. It's it's really like a snowball type, effect. Like in the
Super Bowl.
It's Dan's Super Bowl. It's my Super Bowl too, as far as planning purposes, because it's a nightmare to plan this thing. But it's like it's like a snowball. It starts small, and then we start adding guests and vendors and stuff, and it gets bigger and bigger and goes faster and faster. And then we're almost into May now, and so once we get into like May and June, we're in the final stretches. So
your nightmare is my wet dream, dude.
Okay, I really hope the audio didn't pick that up. I'm not even going to repeat that so people can hear it. So, because on the streams, like they can't always hear you over there, and I'm not repeating that one. Okay, what was I talking about? Classic Game Fest. Okay.
Yeah,
Holy moly. Okay. So Classic Game Fest. So biggest in Texas, we know this. One of the biggest in the country. You may not know this, but that's true as well. Tons of people going to be there. It's definitely, it gets bigger and bigger every week. We're making more announcements every week. So if you follow the Classic Game Fest social media pages, the Facebooks and Instagrams and MySpaces, and honestly, I don't even know where the hell we have other media, but there's other stuff out there. Twitter. What else do we have? Or is Twitter still around? Twitter's still around, right?
I'm on it right now.
I mean, well, Elon Musk is going to buy it. Is he going to change the name, or is it still going to be called Twitter?
It's going to be Tesla.
Tesla X, because that's like his company's, right? Tesla X. Okay. Anyway, but yeah, follow social media because we make announcements on CGF all the time. There are now over 100 different vendors, guests, artists, already committed, booked, and paid for this event. So it's going to be massive. Yeah, very big. And last year was our biggest ever, and I think we had just over 100 then. And we're already almost at that point now, and it's not even May yet.
Let's do it.
So it's going to be huge. Huge with a U. So that's going to be big. But we do still have vendor booths available because we're not COVID restricted anymore. We're packing those booths in, baby. So we've got more space, but it is running out. You're getting kind of near the outer rings of the solar system. When you book early, this is the thing about Classic Game Fest that I like, and this is why I do it this way. We place the booths in the order that they are paid. Not in the order of when people ask for a booth or when people say, yeah, I'll get you, later on that booth or remind me in May about CGF. But the people that book early, you book in September, October, November, December, when the booths first go on sale, you're going to get the cheapest price and you get right up front, right? So, like Game Over and Holy Grail and Game Exchange, those are some of our biggest supporters. That's why they have the biggest booths, and they're always right up in freaking front by the door because they book early, they book big, and they get it cheap because those are three very smart companies. And basically, it's like the rings of the solar system, right? Like that's the sun up in the front. And then as you go out, every planet out, every time the prices go up, you get another ring out in the solar system. And so by this point, the prices, they're not the highest yet. But starting May the 1st, they go up to the highest price yet.
You don't want to be Pluto.
And you're on the outside. So you're going to be an expensive Pluto is what you're going to be. Yeah. So you'll be there and you'll have, great business.
You're not even a planet anymore.
No, you are a planet. But it's like,
not if you're Pluto.
but you're out with Pluto. Well, Pluto, I think Pluto's still a planet. I'm gonna go to the mat for Pluto. Pluto's still a planet.
Fair enough.
But
just disagree with.
But you're just further out. But I feel like that's the reward, right? Like that, I think is fair. I go to a lot of conventions, and as Game Over, we've paid a lot of money, thousands of dollars for booths, and bought them early, and still been stuck in freaking like Siberia in the back corner of convention halls. And because there's politics at play, there's friends, there's like, oh well, this company, like my girlfriend works there, so I'm gonna give them a good spot up front and stuff like that. And no, there's no favorites, there's no frenzies or anything like that. You book early, I save you money, and I give you a better spot. You book late and you just realize, wow, I guess I'll go ahead and do Classic Game Fest now that there's over 100 other people doing it. I guess I have to now because I don't want to be the only game store not at Classic Game Fest or the only like YouTuber not at Classic Game Fest because that's just sad, But the price of you waiting so long is, yeah, you're on the outer ring of the solar system. You're kind of out there. But there are still spots for you because even that outer ring is going to make a lot of money and get a lot of attendance and going to be glad that they're there. But those are filling up. So we're in the outer trenches now. But in the end, we'll probably be up to about about 120 to 150 in that range. It depends. It always depends on how many tables, how many booths each person buys, because some of them are very large. And there's always like smaller retro conventions that say like 100 tables or 200 tables or whatever. But then if each vendor takes like 5 tables, you're like, okay, well, your event has like 10 vendors there, 20 vendors. Like, that's tiny. It's we're saying 100 different things, not 100 tables, not 100 chairs, not 100 pieces of paper. It's different booths to shop at.
I'm always surprised by. There's always new stuff too. Like, it's not always the same. Like, last year I got this really awesome like black baseball hat with like a silver metal Donkey Kong logo on it.
Yeah.
I've never seen that guy before. And he had amazing stuff. And every year there's somebody new.
Yeah, so I hope you heard that. But Dan is saying he got a really cool hat, black hat with a silver, thing on the front. Yeah, it's really cool.
I was yelling.
Yeah. But yeah, different vendors every year. And it's normally the case where there's not very many that leave each year, but there's always more that are added every year. So every year it typically goes up and up and up. And we had some stumbles over the COVID years there, but now based on last year, kind of roaring back to life, I expect this year being the 15th anniversary and the first like non-COVID really concerned event year that we've had in 3 years to be massive. So it's going to be amazing. So you definitely want to be a part of it. And, if your booth number, 110 or 120 or whatever, like even being in the back of my convention hall, I will still ensure that you have good business at your booth because there is stuff to do all over the hall and actually plan it in a way where everybody gets good traffic. But it's just if you want to be right there by the doors, those booths are long gone. And I'm sorry, I can't fix that. But I do reward people that book early. And I think that's the fair thing to do. So that's why. Anyway, enough talk about that. It's going to be awesome. You should get your tickets. Vendor booths are still on sale. Prices go up May 1st on the booths. So we are getting to the, not very many of those left, but you can still book them and book soon if you want to get the cheaper price. Let's see, for tickets though, tickets are available online and those prices will stay the same up until the show. But then at the doors, if you just show up at CGF and buy a ticket, at the table from us, that's going to be more expensive. So don't do that. Don't be that guy. And then you're like going through your cash and you're putting like stacks of quarters, on the table to try and add up to the money because it's more expensive. Be smart, buy early. It's the same for vendors and attendees. You want to buy early, buy online. It's cheaper, it's easier. Just do that, please. But yeah, tickets on sale now. Information on vendor booths available also, and you can see who the guests and bands and stuff are that are announced. And follow the links to the social media pages, all at classicgamefest.com. So check that out. And that's it for news. So let's go on to level 3, the feature section of the show, where I'm going to have a very large unboxing episode. So let's go there now. And we're back with level 3, the feature section of the show. And this week it's really exciting. We had one of the new NeoGeo items on the show last week, which was the little mini cabinet that has some built-in games. It looks like a little an arcade unit, but it's about this tall. So really tiny, like handheld, arcade unit. It does connect to a TV, but it was like more of a portable version. So now we got the big stuff in, and that's why the studio today has been a little, like your camera angle's a little different because we had to move it over because we've got delivery of Ball's drinks here. We've got NeoGeo stuff stacked up. We got everything. So this whole room is getting smaller and smaller. I need to get these boxes out to the stores. But I wanted to show you what we got. Because it's really exciting. We're really very happy to be partners with the Unico NeoGeo new licensing agreement that's bringing a lot of cool new NeoGeo stuff to the market. So I'm going to show you the first one here. So we got the minis, right? The little minis. But now we got some of the big dogs here. So this is the first one. Just move this box. So this is the Arcade Stick Pro. And basically what this is, it's this white NeoGeo controller. And it has built-in games.
What?
Yeah, so it's got 20...
That's a plug and play?
It's like a plug and play, but it's like a really cool NeoGeo plug and play. So it's got 20 NeoGeo classics in here.
HDMI out,
for?
USB port.
Yeah, and
you
see the picture of the little minis? You can use the minis as a second controller. So if you have one of those, you can plug it into here and use it as a second controller.
Can you use it as like a PC stick to play anything?
That I don't know. It
has USB out.
It does have USB out.
Yeah.
So
mode switch, platform switch. Yeah, you got to be able to. It has a platform switch.
Okay. Yeah. Well, there you go.
I bet you'd be. That doesn't make sense for them to not do that.
But very cool. Games built in, and I mean, as you know, as a retro game fan, NeoGeo stuff, it's pretty hard to come by these days. Like, you know, we have stores specializing in retro games, and like we hardly ever see them. You know, people just, there's not that much out there, and the people that have them, Dan, back up.
I'm just seeing what the games are. It's 100% fighting games. So if you like fighting games.
That's most of NeoGeo.
Well, I love Metal Slug and.
Oh, well, yeah. Well, then hang on. So this is the Arcade Stick Pro. So this is like Pro Fighters. But like NeoGeo stuff in the retro market, it's really hard to come by. The units are hard to find. The games are hard to find. Everything is super expensive. And so, you know, it's a really, you know, sometimes you get these plug and play devices and you just think, wow, like the last thing I need is one more way to play Atari games because those are everywhere, right? But like in this case, there's really not a lot of ways to play NeoGeo stuff. Mm-hmm. So this is really great, and to get licensed, you know, legit copies of it, you know, it's really cool. So these are going to be $129. So these are coming to all of our stores right now. Not all the stores have them yet, but they are coming soon. So keep checking your local Game Over stores until they show up, but it should be within the next couple weeks. Probably early May, everyone will have these. But this is really cool. So that's the basic Arcade Stick Pro. So yes, fighting games. Here, I'll read them off on here. If I can.
Read them off. There's just it's all the fighting games you would expect.
Okay, yeah, but I mean, you know, some people don't know NeoGeo games, but there's a lot of games they've made over the years, and very cool graphics. Like there's some of the you know, highest end you know, video game graphics you could get back in the 90s. So very cool.
Price?
Oh, sorry, did I say price?
No.
$129.
Oh.
$129. So not bad at all, right? So it's basically like something you don't have to hook up any boxes to your TV. It's just this, plugs in, you know, HDMI, so good graphics, good games, really cool, $129. Actually, I'm going to set that down. Good times. I'll set that over there. So then this is the bigger one, which I already opened the box, but I'm going to have to do it like this. So I call this one the big boy right here. So this, it's a little more plain looking. It's just a, oh, okay, thank you. It's just a big black joystick, but it's like, you know, 2-player. It's the size of this box, so it is very large. Basically, this is meant, I think, at home to be like on your coffee table.
Yeah.
Right. So like right in front of your couch, you have a coffee table. You just plop this thing on there, and it's go time. And you and somebody else get down on this thing, and you go to town. So, yeah. Watch it. All right. And then the games on this one. This one has 40 games.
Metal Slug's on there. Good.
Metal Slug is on there.
Fatal Fury. Now we're getting some stuff.
This is, and like, let's see. Oh, no, real bad. Sorry. Metal Slug, 3, 4, 5, 2, 3. Oh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Metal Slug, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Samurai Showdown, you know, World Heroes, Real Bout, King of Fighters 94, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9,
a couple
0,
different Fatal Furies.
4, or
Fatal
1,
Fury Special.
2. Man. So, over 40 games preloaded. So that's really cool.
But this one's made by SNK.
Well, they're both made. They're just this one is licensed through Unico, so they put their name on the front.
Unico,
but like it's a NeoGeo Unico partnership that does all of this stuff.
So the Unico did this one too.
Well, no, that's just SNK.
Yeah.
So yeah. But I think it's just, you know, the overall partnership, you know, on all of it. Like, they're the distributor in the U.S., so I think this one's more like just kind of a basic style for them, but it has more games. This is the NeoGeo style that has less games. But but very cool. So we got these two, like, plug-and-play units.
What's the price of the 2-player one? Here, turn this around.
Oh, yeah. So, the 2-player one is $199. So, $200 for the big one, $129 for the smaller one. So
that's sweet. That's sick.
Really cool.
That's a good price for a pro grade arcade stick.
And you don't have to buy anything else. Yeah. It hooks up HDMI to the TV. So really cool. And again, NeoGeo stuff, it's hard to find otherwise. So it's a really great thing. So yeah, Game Over stores are going to be carrying these. So you will see them at your local Game Over store soon. So this is just if you want, you know, the kind of the easier setup to your TV. But let's say you want something bigger.
Let's say these aren't here. Let me take them this
Or
way.
take them that way. Okay. Yeah. Sorry, that one's kind of heavy. All right. So let's say you like your NeoGeo a little bigger. Like you want a box. You want a box this size.
Christmas morning.
Okay, those are too small. I want the Big Daddy box.
Yeah.
That's this one. So I'm gonna unbox this one.
That is a.
So what do you think's in here, Dan? Oh Sorry, what to edit that out. All right.
Okay.
I don't know how I'm gonna get this out of the box here.
Here, I'll help you. You
Um,
want to cut the box open?
no, we need to just like let's just tip it this way. And then just dump it.
Upside down?
Yeah, just all over.
This is like in the 90s when you tried to load a picture on your computer. And
Loading,
you get
loading.
frame by frame.
Oh, we should have done it the other way so the box would be upside down.
Too bad.
All right. Yeah, you can take that
Let me
box
take that
away,
home,
Dan. That would
make
be
a robot
awesome.
costume out of it.
All right, let's flip this over. Ugh. Yeah, this space and this show are not made for stuff this big. So how about that?
Ooh.
How about them apples?
That's
Says
nice.
Matt Damon.
You put tabletop, arcade
Yeah.
sized.
So this is basically a mini arcade system that's a tabletop. They call it a bar top. So this sits on top of like your kitchen counter.
No assembly required.
No assembly required. You know, like the arcade.
Not for a box this size.
Well, like the arcade one-ups, you know, that are kind of similar. You know, they come in these flat boxes.
Yeah.
You got to put it all together. This thing, you just pull it out. The TV, the controls, everything. It's ready to play. You just plug it in.
So next week you're gonna pull this out of the box. We're gonna play it. Right?
Yeah. So here's a better picture of it. Here. Yeah.
Baseball stars. Yes.
Uh huh.
So good.
Yeah. So good stuff. So this one, I think has 50 games on it. Is that right?
Yeah. 50
1,
games.
2,
on the front.
3, 4, 5. 1, 2,
Don't-
3,
it
4,
says
5,
50 right on
6,
the
7,
front.
8, 9, 10.
He's
5
counting.
times 10 is
40.
You're wrong. 50. See, and these are all the games. So you can zoom in on your video if you're watching on YouTube, but otherwise,
3.
yeah, I mean it's
Football frenzy. Come
Yeah.
on, guys.
all the fighting games. They have tons of fighting games,
Yeah.
but then also the baseball,
3-count
football. What is 3-count bout? I don't know that
Isn't
one.
that the
The golf.
yeah
Um,
super side
striker. So yeah, soccer, golf, football, baseball. Is there a basketball?
Nah.
No.
Japanese people don't play basketball.
Don't say that. Yao Ming? Oh no, he's Chinese.
Which is worse?
I don't follow basketball. I'm not being racist.
Lots of King of Fighters. Samurai Showdown.
Yeah. Lots of cool stuff. Lots of cool stuff.
All the sports
So,
games are on this one.
Yeah, so this has basically everything on there. So this has, NeoGeo and Unico branding. So this is like the dual brand.
It's got like a fake little coin slot on the front, and you press the coin button.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it looks just like an arcade.
Okay. All right.
And so then you buy this thing. So this just sits on the table or on the counter. You put it in your bar. Man cave. Female cave.
Dan
whatever.
cave.
Game cave.
Female cave.
I don't know. What do you call it? I mean, because that's a sexist term.
Well,
man
yeah,
cave.
I think so.
I don't want to say man cave.
Just
I don't know what to call it. The game room. Game cave.
Game room.
Game room. Yeah.
Game room.
So in your game room.
Look at how big this UPC is.
Where's the code? Where do I scan it?
Wait, you gotta hold it back here to scan it because it's too big.
That is funny. It's a
This
big
is
print on the
great.
warning and everything.
I want to open it.
I know, but we can't open it because you know why? Because they're $500.
Oh. Let me walk back behind the camera.
Yeah. So the only drawback is they're $500. But 50 games.
$10 a game.
$10 a game,
Yeah,
right?
That's not bad at all.
I mean, for most of those games, they sell for more than $50 a piece.
Yeah.
So 50 games for $500. It's built into the cabinet. You don't have to assemble it. It's ready to go. You just plug and play. And then, if you want, don't bring all those other boxes over here.
Yeah, but is this to lift it so that you can have arcade sized?
Yes.
Yeah.
So like what y'all can't see on the show if you're watching the YouTube version of this podcast is that there's actually a bunch of other boxes in here too. So if you get this sweet bad boy here, and you want to do it full arcade style, like you see the arcade one-up cabinets or stuff like that. You want it to be like in the arcades. You can actually buy a bottom piece to that, and the bottom piece is only $100. So for $5.99, you get a full arcade, and that's actually technically, because it's a little narrower and a little less deep than the like original 80s arcades.
Yeah.
Because it's a flat screen TV
That's
and
the
all that
same
kind of
with the
stuff.
one-up. The
Same as the
one-ups
one-ups.
are
They're
smaller.
actually kind of like 3/4 size. But if you want to make it full size, there's actually, you buy the bottom for $100, and then there's another piece that goes under that called a riser for an extra $100. Or actually, I think that was $79, and that bumps it up another foot. So then it puts it at full 6-foot level. With the normal pedestal, it's at 5 feet, which is about like here on me. So then you add the extra $79, it goes up to here. So then that gives you the full arcade, full size, full height. Also, they have a NeoGeo stool. There's like one of the boxes over there has a stool in it. So if you want to really complete your game room with the full NeoGeo arcade plus the matching NeoGeo stool, so you can actually sit your butt on the NeoGeo chair while you're playing your NeoGeo in your NeoGeo game room. That's what you need. You need the full deal set up. But so yeah, Game Over is selling all of this stuff. So it's taken a while to get it all to the stores. So be patient if your local Game Over store doesn't have them yet when you watch this video.
Here's the full display. Oops.
Yeah, thank you. I'll watch out for that. Yeah. So but over the next say 2 weeks, we'll be getting all of this distributed to all of our stores. It's all right now here in our warehouse. I mean in the studio. It's in our fancy Hollywood studio. But no, it's in the warehouse right now, and so we're going to be pushing it out to the stores. So we should all be excited. There's going to actually be a NeoGeo section in every Game Over store in May, starting in May, where we're going to sell all this kind of stuff. So really cool stuff. High-end retro gaming devices. Brand name, hard to get otherwise type stuff. And so we're really excited. So we're really appreciative to NeoGeo and Unico for working with us on this partnership. And we're I believe one of the first major retailers in the U.S. to have this. They don't have these at Costco or wherever the arcade one-up cabinets are. They're pretty much everywhere.
Best Buy.
Because they're all cheap. But this is these are better games, and it's a cooler looking device. So it's a little more expensive, but anyway, these are really cool, and we're excited for Game Over Videogames to be one of the first stores to have them. I don't think GameStop even has these, or Best Buy, or any of those kind of places. So yeah, we rule.
Come and get them.
Come and get them, guys. So anyway, so that is the feature section of the show. So definitely check out your Game Over Video Game store for the new NeoGeo section starting in May 2022. So, and now we'll go on to level 4 with the boss battle. And let me look at my notes here. Ooh, boss battle is travel issues. So let's go to the boss battle now. And we're back with level 4, the boss battle. So I hope you enjoyed that last segment with the new NeoGeo products. We're really excited about that. Dan got so excited. He was just over here drooling all over the desk. I'm looking at him. I forgot to mention the name, I believe, but it is the MVSX. So like the MVS, one of the classic NeoGeo names, this is the MVSX. So that's the name. But really cool stuff. Not like your impulse type purchase because it's $500, but really cool addition to a game room. For the hardcore collectors and the NeoGeo fans out there. Those things are just awesome. So we're so excited to have them in the stores. So anyway, let's move on to level 4, the boss battle. So today's boss battle is about travel issues. So I just traveled last weekend, went to Washington, and it was actually kind of weird because this was the first. I travel a lot, for my job. I visit stores. Most of them are in Texas, so I visit by car. I just do a lot of driving. But with the stores in Washington, fly back there, and so I'll fly back there. I don't know. Normally it's 4 times a year, something like that. Right now we've been short on some staff lately, so I've been going back there a lot in the past year. So I think I've been there probably 10 times in the past year, maybe. But this was actually the first time that I traveled by plane somewhere since the mask mandate was lifted. And it's lifted in Washington and in Texas and now at airports and airlines and stuff. So I didn't have to wear a mask at any point through the whole trip. And I think it was the first time that was the case in 2 years, 3 years. It feels like forever. I don't know, but yeah. So that was very, cool and liberating, but also just a little weird. It felt weird. And then every once in a while, I'd see somebody with a mask and be like, oh, yeah, like some people still are wearing masks. And, I don't know. I mean, wear them if you want. I don't have any issue. Wear them, don't wear them, or whatever. But I'm fully vaccinated. I feel very comfortable, without a mask. I don't get in that close quarters with people. And I know the air circulation on planes is supposed to be some of the safest air to breathe and all that. So, I felt fine. But anyway, it was just, kind of interesting. But so I wanted to talk about some of the issues with travel. So masks is one of them. And that's mostly resolved now because whether if you want to wear a mask, you obviously can still wear a mask. You can still wear a mask anytime. But if you don't want to wear it or you don't feel the need, you're now at least able to make that choice for yourself. And so that I think is really cool. And it leads to, I think, a more enjoyable travel experience, for the travelers and also the people that work there, the people that work at the airport and the airlines and stuff, because they were always the ones that had to nag everybody about putting their masks on, and whether they believed in it or liked it or not, they had to enforce those policies. And so now there's like, you don't want to wear a mask, fine. You want to wear a mask, fine. Who cares? Just do what you need to do. So that's a nice thing about travel that's kind of resolved lately. Also, just in general, like, traveling, I mean, we have this in Austin. We have this probably everywhere in the country at this point, but there's a lot of homeless camps. People, unable to find work, and for various reasons. We won't get into all the social reasons for why people are poor or homeless. It happens. But there tend to be in Washington a lot of, homeless camps and stuff. So that's one of the things that when you travel, especially around the hotels, I noticed like there's a lot of them there, like tent cities. I'm just kind of lined up on the streets around the hotels, and I don't know if they, just try and use the bathroom or the free breakfast or whatever there, but there's definitely that kind of stuff. And so when you travel, not that there's anything wrong with that, but it's just you have to be aware, right? When you're going to and from your car, to and from the hotel. If you're traveling and you're in a strange city, you got a rental car, and you're going to a hotel that, you're not maybe comfortable with. And sometimes, like when I travel, I leave at the crack of dawn in the morning and I get home or get back to the hotel like at midnight. And so it's always like, dark when I'm going to and from the car. And so you kind of have to be careful, because you never know if people are out there on the streets just kind of hanging out, and sometimes bad things happen, and so always be aware, keep your eyes, on a swivel and just be watching for anything. Also, another kind of tip for travel that I wanted to share is pack light. When I travel for work, I pack so lightly, I normally just, I wear a pair of jeans, I bring a jacket, because it's cold or rainy in Washington pretty much all the time. So I always have that. But otherwise, it's just like, underwear, socks, and, a couple other t-shirts or something to wear. Like I can literally go to Washington for, 3, 4, 5 days with a backpack of stuff, because it's just, I don't bring that much. I put my toothbrush in a little baggie. I don't even bring my whole little travel case. I just the toothbrush is all you need, And so packing light makes it a whole lot easier, less stuff to check, less stuff to pack, less stuff to carry. Especially if you're by yourself getting in and out of the airports, you don't want a huge suitcase. Even though I often have huge suitcases full of like video game stuff. We like to use the airline luggage policies to help ship product to our stores. So we sometimes have like suitcases full of like, products for the stores. It's kind of funny, really. Like we always get, TSA always likes going through our bags. We get those little notes in our bags, that they've looked, because they probably do the X-ray scan on any suitcase that I take with me on a trip. And it's like my clothes is in a little backpack. And so that's fine. Like that's just a tiny little thing. But if I bring anything big, it's a suitcase for work, and it has like, like a 10-pack of controllers or something for the store. And so if they scan it through the X-ray deal, it's going to be all kinds of wires and like power cords, and it looks like a mini Radio Shack coming down the assembly line there. And
you ever get stopped for batteries?
No.
Okay.
I never get stopped for batteries. They ask me if I have batteries, and I'm always like, no. Even though sometimes I have like,
rechargeable,
because they're in the controllers.
GPASP or controllers.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Yeah, but I tell them no.
There's another tip.
That's probably why it gets checked. But I mean, it's like, it's not the kind that it's not anything that's going to leak or that's going to explode or anything like that. It's just, anything has batteries in it these days. So I don't know. What are you supposed to say? Like, no, I don't have any electronics. Like, there's no suitcase with no electronics in it. Mine just has more than the average bear. But anyway, so pack light. Be aware around hotels of potential for if you're traveling and it's an urban area, there's homeless issues in the area or anything where people are like kind of hanging out real late at night. And I saw this there, my hotel. Like I got back to the room I think like midnight one night, and there's like just groups of people standing around just kind of right outside the gate of the apartment or the hotel. And so no issue. I'm sure nothing bad was going on, but like, if there was, you have to be aware that there's people out there. Like you're not alone when you're out, in some of these places. So let's see. Check the weather before going. That seems like an easy one, like kind of a no-brainer. But even as much as I travel, like I forget that sometimes, and I'll be like on my way to the airport or at the airport and being like, oh, I wonder what the weather's going to be like there. I hope I packed the right jacket or the right shirts, like short sleeve or long sleeve, and so definitely check the weather before you go. Always have layers of stuff. That's what I try and do. I bring like a couple t-shirts, a couple long sleeve shirts, and a jacket. And that's pretty much it. And that covers you from every level. If it's super cold, you just layer it up. Short sleeve, long sleeve, and jacket. You got 3 layers on. But jeans and shoes, I only bring normally one. And I just wear those every day. GPS. I always bring a GPS with me because normally rental cars don't have it, and so I have a little like suction one that you stick on the window.
You just use your phone?
No, because you're not supposed to drive with your phone, and I feel weird like driving like this with the phone.
You can put your phone up on the dash with a thing.
You can't just with a thing, yeah. But yeah, I have a GPS, so I just use that.
Cool.
So Dan has a little suction thing, I guess, for the phone.
At all just then. It's fine.
You kids don't use GPS devices?
No.
Does this do GPS, these phone things?
Oh my gosh.
You can get directions? Well, hot damn. All right. But yeah, so if you need a GPS, bring one. Otherwise, bring something for your phone. So if that's going to direct you so that you're not like holding your phone while you're driving the car and looking at the phone, you have to have it, posted up somewhere so that you're not, distracted driving. Also bring a laptop and a hotspot. This may be something else that ages me because a lot of people don't plan for that. They just figure, well, every hotel has Wi-Fi, right? Like every airport has Wi-Fi now. Well, yeah, they do, but sometimes they don't work very well. So I like to be prepared for in the event they don't. So like I brought my hotspot with me just in case, my laptop, I needed to check email or something, and the Wi-Fi in the hotel was bad, or the airport, stuff. You sometimes have to pay in airports to do Wi-Fi, and so I already have the hotspot, so I just use that. But luckily on this trip, I didn't end up having to use it at all, but I brought it as a backup. Just, I like to be, I'm a planner. I'm a planner. I prepare and over-prepare sometimes, but it's like I want to make sure there is no way on this trip that I'm going to be, carrying too much stuff, going to be unsafe, that I'm not going to know where I'm going, and that I'm not going to be able to access my email. So you got to make sure those things can still happen for me to function on a trip. Then stuff on the plane. Obviously, you need like headset, earbuds, something like that. Music, videos. Again, they have that stuff on the planes. Normally, they don't even have planes with the little TVs built in anymore. Like you have to actually use your device and you like mount it up on the little above the tray on the seat and just connect to their Wi-Fi and watch movies and stuff. But like I found on this trip even that sometimes their Wi-Fi is really crappy. And you start watching one of their movies and it like glitches out. And I had times where I was just staring at, blank screen on my phone and it's like loading, a little circle spinning. I'm like, man, that really sucks. I wish I had downloaded an actual movie or show before I got on the plane so I could watch it without being, interrupted all the time. So plan ahead on that too. Make sure you have some kind of fallback content already loaded on your device, like, videos, music, movies, stuff like that to watch. Rental cars. So I normally do rental cars through Hertz. Hertz is not the cheapest place to get rental cars. But the thing I really like about Hertz and what got me as a customer for Hertz is like when I rent from them, because I'm in their, rewards program or whatever, whenever I set up for a rental car, it's the kind where you just you just go up to the car and get in like, any car on the row. I think they're all like that now, really, but you get any car in a certain row, and then you just drive up and check out and go. But you don't have to actually walk up to the little booth at the rental car desk. And most of the other companies, you still have to walk up to the desk and you got to show them your ID and your insurance and all that kind of stuff. But because I'm like pre-registered with Hertz, they already have my insurance stuff and they have my name and I've rented before. And so I just see my name is on the board and I just go to where it is and I don't have to stop. I don't have to talk to people. I just go right to the car. So I really like that. So thank you, Hertz, for doing that. And yeah, so I normally rent cars from Hertz. There might be other companies that do that now too, but I've just always gone to Hertz because they started doing that, and once I did that once, I was just so excited at the ease of not having to go talk to the person at the counter and like, oh, you want the extra coverage, right? And I'm like, no, I don't care about your stupid rental car. Like, I'm a good driver, I'm not going to mess it up. But you gotta go through all that stuff with them, and it just takes time. And sometimes there's a line because like the whole bus unloads and everybody goes in there at the same time, and it's just crazy. But time savings are worth the money. Sometimes, maybe not all the time, but sometimes. And rental cars, Hertz does that for me. Going into the airports, I also use Clear. Clear is it's like the Fast Pass at Six Flags or Disney World or something. It's, you pay a certain amount per year. I think it's like $100 or something. But if you travel a lot, like I do, and you go in and out of airports, the worst thing about travel is waiting in those freaking lines to go through and take your, shoes and jacket and everything off and, all that kind of stuff. And if you can save any time in that process, it's so worth it to me. To me, that's like gold. And so I'm a Clear member too. And so I go right to the little Clear booth and they scan me and I go right around all the other suckers and I'm like, see you guys, and go right up to the front and go right in the security thing. So I know that's kind of snobby. And, at Six Flags, I hate it when people do that. But like when it comes to travel and you're already going to spend hours and hours in airports and on planes and stuff like that, saving time on getting in the rental car and saving time getting in and out of airport security, like I feel like those are expenses that you kind of have to spend because otherwise I will literally spend all freaking day at airports and rental car places. And I can't afford to do that. So it's worth the expense on that for me. Let's see, planning your flights too. I always try and go nonstop. That's I think everybody's ideal thing. A lot of times when I'm going so far from like Texas to Washington, there is a stop. But if I can find a nonstop, I definitely take it. And then also, as far as your flight times go, I try and leave early in the morning and come back late at night. I don't really like coming in at or past midnight. But I try and come as late as I can back and leave as early as I can in the morning. And that way you maximize your time there and therefore minimize your time, away from home and away from work and everything. So I try and do that. So that's why like last weekend, I had an early flight that was like, I think it was like a 7 or 8 in the morning. And so, I had to get up real early to go. And then I got home at midnight on Sunday. But that gave me basically, by the time I got to Seattle, it was only like 10 in the morning. So I still had basically all day to work, and I worked all day and then some on the Friday. And then on Sunday, on my day coming home, I still had like half a day to work, and I worked till I think like 2 before I had to go to the airport. So I really maximized my time. Otherwise, it's easy to spend your first day totally in airports, your last day totally in airports, and then even spending just 1 or 2 days actually doing your work there, you're already gone almost a week. You're almost gone 4 or 5 days, and so it just I try and shrink that time as much as possible so I can maximize time there and minimize time away from work. Let's see, plan ahead, make lists. I'm real big on lists, even for the show. Lists. So I make lists all the time. I check things off, and make sure I don't forget anything. Sometimes I guess I may forget to put it on my list, but it's not very often. Normally I have lists, I check things off my lists, and that helps me to stay organized and get things done. And again, maximize time there because you don't want to do a trip halfway across the country and then realize when you get home, oh yeah, I should have done these 3 things while I was there. I wish I had had a reminder or a note somewhere to do that. So make lists. Excuse me. Let's see. Get up early, start early. That's kind of my motto every day is, I wake up early. I don't sleep in ever. I get up early. I go to work early, and then I work as late as needed to get stuff done. And so, it's It's part of just being a workaholic, I guess, which is definitely what I am. But it also helps with productivity. Once you allow yourself to start sleeping late and hitting the snooze alarm 5 times and stuff like that, you get kind of caught in that habit. And then it's really hard when you do need to get an early morning flight or something. So I just get up early, start early every day. I'm just built that way. Get sleep. I'm very bad at this one, but you need to get sleep. Last weekend I did not get a lot of sleep. I did not adjust well to the time change. I got back to the hotel too late and got up and left too early. So if there's one thing, in my life of, running Game Over that I seem to always not do, I'm hoping you learn from me. So listen to me, listeners of the show, and just I function better on a full night of sleep, 7-8 hours of sleep. Most times I get 5 or 6 hours of sleep. So it's often hard for me to be at my best. But I try. But sometimes it definitely shows, especially later in the week. I think Fridays and Saturdays, by the end of the week, I'm pretty burned out, and I need to recharge. So anyway, get sleep when you need it. Be flexible because things happen, delays happen. One of the things on my trip this last weekend, when I just got into the airport on Friday, coming out of the airport in Seattle, the SeaTac airport, coming over to where I-5 and 405 meet, getting ready to head to our store in Bellevue, and traffic was just stopped. It was just inexplicably, it wasn't slow, it wasn't busy, it was just totally stopped, packed every lane, nobody moving anywhere. Couldn't figure out what was going on. It took me, I think, 2 hours to get from the airport to Bellevue, which is not, it shouldn't take that long. It's normally about 30 or 40 minutes. And I didn't find out until Friday night, the reason that apparently President Biden was there. Oh. Yeah. So the president was there. So they shut down the freaking, I-5 totally. Nobody could get on, not even one lane it was down to. They had police cars and they blocked the entire highway midday on a Friday. So I had some bad timing there, but otherwise I did pretty efficiently on the trip. But yeah, you got to be flexible for stuff like that because I had no idea what was going on. I even went through some radio channels just trying to figure out what is there? Is there a fire? Is there a a massive pileup somewhere? And no, it's just the president. The president comes and they block up the highway for 30 minutes because no car can be anywhere around his motorcade or whatever. So anyway, that was that. So be flexible and have fun. I do try and enjoy the travel, and I really like traveling. I like riding on the planes. I like going to new places. I love driving and traveling, and so it's actually a really enjoyable part of the job overall. But just some of these tips on here, that's things that I've learned, I guess, over the years to help minimize the stress so that I can kind of enjoy the process of travel. So you should try and do that too, and definitely enjoy, even if it's a work trip. Try and have some fun. Eat some good food, and anytime I travel, the thing I always like to do is I always got to get a Dairy Queen Blizzard. So I'm gonna do another plug for Dairy Queen. That's just I like to, at some point on a trip, normally at the end of a day or at the end of a weekend or whatever, DQ Blizzard. That to me, that's like the it's literally, I guess, the icing on the cake kind of thing. It's a sweet end to a work trip or event. Yeah, but I love me a Blizzard. I do love me a Blizzard. I'm a Texas boy. Actually, I'm not, but I live in Texas. Okay, so let's move on to the bonus level now and do some fan feedback. We actually have a ton of feedback. This is going to be a big segment today. So let's do that now with the bonus level. And we're back with the bonus level and fan feedback. We actually have had a lot of comments on the show in this past week, and so I really appreciate that. And I always try to answer as many questions and read them on the show as much as possible. But I'm definitely going to have to kind of skim through some this week because there's too many to answer all of them. But I'll try as many as I can. So here we go. So let's see. So we got somebody excited about the NeoGeo stuff. They saw the NeoGeo Mini on the show last week, and they were excited because you can't find those in many stores. And now this week, after finding out that we have all the big NeoGeo stuff too, that person is going to be totally psyched. So you're welcome. We are now your NeoGeo headquarters. Let's see. Other comments. Awesome video. Keep up the great work. Somebody said Bungus, Chunungus, Wungus. I don't even know what that means. Is that a dirty word or something?
You just said that.
Okay, Dan said that I shouldn't have said that. I don't know what that means. But the person that said it is called, his YouTube profile is Suck My Woody. Isn't that nice? That's so friendly. I'm sure Mom would approve of that one. So anyway, so you're welcome for getting me to say that on the show, and I'm sure it's probably something dirty that I shouldn't be saying, so I don't know what it means. Let's see. Ricky found the show a month ago. He binged seasons 3 and 4 on his 1-hour commute to work. So thanks for listening. I guess you're listening to the audio version, which is really cool on the podcast. We actually have more people listening to the podcast audio than the YouTube videos, which is interesting. I thought it would be the other way around, but
too bad for them.
I guess I'm not too much to look at, but like, we do a lot of visual stuff, but I try and describe what we're doing. I have a face for radio. I really do. I definitely have a hairline for radio. But yeah, so thank you for watching the show. And this is the first time I've heard of somebody, quote, binging our show, which is really cool because that means you like it enough that you listen all the time. So very cool. So I hope that was exciting listening to the seasons 3 and 4 there and catching up. He likes the transparency and the insider info. I said this earlier on the show too, like there's not, at least that I know of, I don't listen to a lot of podcasts or YouTube, channels or whatever, but, I don't think there's a lot of owners of companies that are really, just try and talk to people about their job. Maybe, Elon Musk is kind of like that. And I think that's something I kind of like about him. Some people don't like him because obviously he's, richest guy in the world and everything. And there's a lot to dislike, but there's also a lot to like and envy that he's very open and very out there and accessible. And, if you comment at him on social media, he will likely comment back. And like, you don't get that from a lot of rich, famous people. So I got to give him props for that. He is definitely in touch with his, community and his customers. So anyway, he likes the transparency of our show, which is great. He likes Dan. It says Dan needs a mic though, because sometimes it's hard to hear Dan. But I try and repeat what Dan says most of the time just to make sure it's into the microphone so everybody can hear it. But there is a mic back there. It's just a lower volume so that, so it's not distracting on the show to hear him like breathing in the background or whatever, or eating his donuts or whatever he's doing back there. What are you doing back there, Dan?
Not much.
Not much? Me neither. Just sitting around talking. But anyway, he likes Dan. Mentioned something about the cool one of a kind items in Washington, because I mentioned we get a lot of cool stuff up there. And he was wondering like what some of the cool items are. So we've gotten up there some really rare, like unusual Atari games. Some of the original like loaner carts that they had, which were kind of like demo versions of games that they would pass around to stores to like try out. And so we've had some of those come through. We've had lots of different rare special edition Xboxes because the Microsoft headquarters is just minutes away from that store. And so a lot of the Microsoft employees, live in and come have lunch in our shopping center. So there's a lot of them around. And yeah, we've had some of the rare, like the Mountain Dew Xbox that's really rare. We've got some of the first edition stuff where it's like signed by Bill Gates, those launch edition models. We've had developer kits. Lots of Xbox stuff. Not quite as much Nintendo stuff, but Nintendo is also just like maybe 15 minutes away from this store in Bellevue. So it's kind of surprising we haven't had as much Nintendo stuff. But yeah, so we get really cool stuff and really at all the stores, but especially up there just because it's such a hardcore game development community where like everybody that lives and works up there is involved somehow in gaming. It's really a very large segment of the population. And also in the stores, it's kind of funny when you look in our Washington stores in any of the Xbox game sections, you see, if any of you guys remember back like in the 90s when Xbox first started and like I used to work at EB Games before doing this. And, we would sometimes get demos, like they'd give free games to the employees. And, when they give it to you, though, it has this big round white sticker on the front that says like employee only, not for resale type game. And employees sell those to us all the time up there. So it's funny, like if you look in our Xbox, like the wall of games in our stores, like in the back, in the Xbox 360, Not so much Xbox One, but Xbox Original and Xbox 360. You see a ton of games with those big white circles on there because we can't take them off. They're like super sticker material. They don't really come off easily. And but yeah, because they get stacks of games from work, they play them, and they just don't want them anymore. And didn't cost them anything, so they're just sell them to us. But yeah, we get tons of that stuff. So not rare, but just interesting that that happens a lot. But anyway, and I still have some of those at my house from when they used to do that with the like GameStop and EB Games too. They would give us, like a few copies of like Fusion Frenzy and was it like Lynx Golf and stuff. When they had new games back in the like early 2000s. Well, Fusion Frenzy was cool. I like Fusion Frenzy. That was one of those first like really fun kind of next gen multiplayer games that I remember playing.
Mario Party for adults.
Yes. It was like a Mario Party. It was something that really like people would get together and play like couch co-op and have a lot of fun before the online stuff, and then couch co-op kind of went more into the background. So anyway, also let's see, a question about kind of along the same lines, the most paid for one trade, and I don't really remember exactly. I mean, we've bought collections from people before, like where the stores, hand it up to me, and then, I'll buy collections. So I've bought, thousands of dollars, like in one collection from a person. But I think in the stores, probably about $1,000, maybe $1,200. I mean, most of our stores don't even have $1,000 in cash in the stores at most times, because you take all the money in the registers, and then, if they have anything, else beyond that, it's not much. And so it's not even possible for them to give, a lot of cash out for stuff. But I think probably, 1,000 to 1,200 is probably about the most we would have paid out in one trade. Coolest item ever gotten. And we've had some like really rare and unusual stuff. But I think one of the coolest we got is actually here in the North Austin Game Over store. We got a GameCube kiosk once.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, that was cool. Did you ever see that one, Dan?
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, we used to have it in the back here, and then eventually somebody bought it.
How much did that sell for? Do you remember?
I think we sold. No, I think we sold for about $1,000 bucks. Yeah, which is not bad. I mean, most of those kiosks,
they're very expensive.
Yeah, it'll cost you at least several $100s to buy them, and a lot of them now are like $1,000 or more if you get one in really good shape and stuff.
These days, it's pretty impossible. Though.
Yeah, but like back then, there was a lot of those out there because the GameStop stores before COVID, the GameStop stores they were closing a lot of stores. Best Buy was closing a lot of stores. Circuit City went out of business. There were a lot of like game kiosks kind of flooding the market back then, about 10 years ago. And nowadays, not so much. And so, now you don't see them as much. And even personal collectors just selling, at friend prices, it's going to be over $1,000 for most, decent kiosks. So, but anyway, but yeah, so I think that's one of the coolest things. Let's see, Chris. Hey, Chris. Let's see. He was asking about, do we merch high demand, lower gross items in the back of the store? Like what are the eggs and bread of Game Over? Like, in the grocery store when you go in there and you just have like 5 things to get, but magically those 5 things are in like the 5 corners of the earth of that store. They're not all in the same aisle, so you have to walk all over the freaking grocery store for like an hour just to find those things. I guess we kind of do that too, not really on purpose, but we definitely don't keep all like low demand stuff in the back and high demand stuff up front. I mean, it is scattered in the stores, but we do have methods to our madness. So we do keep the stores alphabetical and chronological, and so everything is ordered. Everything has a flow to it, and it's not just like whatever I'm trying to push that month, I put those up front, so that people will see it right away. So it's not as deliberate as maybe it seems, or even that it should be, maybe, but it's just kind of, it just is what it is. But we keep the stores as organized as we can versus trying to purposely spread things out. But yeah, I always hate that in grocery stores, so that's a funny analogy. Camera specs. So somebody was asking about camera specs too. Yeah, about the camera that we use for the show, because like the last show we did a walkthrough in the store, and so where are you?
I'm going to answer the question.
Oh, hi. We're really close.
Well, COVID's over, so.
COVID's over? Okay. So.
What's the question?
The question is, what kind of camera do you use?
Oh, so I have a Panasonic GH5 that I use for this show. Two Sigma 24-70 2.4f lenses.
Oh, those are good.
And then you have a little Zoom recorder here, Zoom H5 handy recorder that we go into this Shure PG48. My lights are custom made from Home Depot, and they're very cheap because I don't want to pay the prices that Quasar and everybody's charging for lights, and they look fine.
Lights are lights.
Yeah. But yeah, I have two GH5s that I do for my contract work, and they are workhorses. I love them. Someday I'll replace them, but right now they do the job well. So.
Okay. Well, thank you. And that was your film recording segment for the day. Well, that's cool. And all of that meant really nothing to me, but for you, video files, hopefully you know exactly what he's talking about, and you say, yeah, that's good stuff. So, I don't know. But yeah, Dan does a great job, and now he's trying to sneak his way back behind the camera. This room is really packed right now. Like, you have no idea how packed this room is with stuff. Like, the camera angle's a little different on this show just because of that, because we're literally trying to film around boxes.
Should I zoom out?
Yeah, you could just pan over just to show, like, how just, like, here I am, and, like, follow me out this way.
And boxes.
Boxes.
And they just go back, and they keep going back.
Yeah. So, it is what it is, you know? I mean, this is our office, our stock room, our studio, the CGF warehouse. We have CGF stuff over there, like old, posters and stuff from CGF and banners. And what else do we have in here? Good Lord. I mean, everything. Supplies. I've got, like, paper towels and toilet paper over here. Yeah. I mean, this is where I run the company from. And so it's not big, it's not expensive, it's not glamorous. It's like me. It's simple, cheap, and casual.
Gets the job done.
And gets the job done, because that's who I am and what I do. All right.
With the dirty side.
I don't think I have. Well, I might have a little dirty side. I'm not too bad though. I could be worse. I'm pretty clean cut. But speaking of me, the next comment, actually, somebody said on one of the YouTube videos that I have this is quote, wacky 90s dad vibe. So, do I seem like a wacky 90s dad to you, Dan?
I could see you playing like a sitcom dad in the 90s.
Yeah. Like I come to the room like, "Hey kids, how was school today?"
Yeah, exactly.
And then they'll say something and I'll be like, "I have no idea what the hell you're talking about." And they'll be like, "Oh, you wacky 90s dad."
Sometimes they'll try to use their lingo. You'll be like, "Hey, rad shirt, Kevin." And they'll be like, "Dad."
You know, I do that too, because I use words like cool and dude and rad, and I say man a lot. Like, "Hey man, like, how's it going, man? Thanks, man." And I can't stop. It's ingrained in my head. Even when it's female, I'm like, "Thanks, man." I don't know. But yeah, it's just, it's just part of, I guess, who I am and how I, grew up, and I talk that way. But I do sometimes try and be cool. Like I'll repeat things my kids say, stuff like something's lit, or like it's fire. And, and I'll like combine them. It's like on the movie Terminator, right? Where he's teaching the T, 1000 or whatever, Arnold Schwarzenegger, how to say stuff. And he's like, yeah. And then you really want to get a rise out of him. You say like, "Hasta la vista, baby." So I'm trying to do that with my kids. I'm like, that's lit. That's so lit. It's fire. That's, and they're just like, "Oh God, Dad, stop. You're killing me."
My kids are too young for that now. We'll see.
Oh yeah. Well, you got time, because when your kids become teenagers, they kind of start to either just flat out not like you. They definitely will not think you're funny. And if they think you're just a wacky, fun dad vibe, like, that's actually a compliment. Like, that's the best you can hope for, compliment-wise. So thank you for that, I guess. And I'm going to take it with pride. Like, I am an 80s, 90s dad, and, I have all kinds of useless 80s and 90s trivia in my head. And I honestly don't remember or care about much outside of those 2 decades. So, it is what it is, I guess. Let's see. And that person also was talking about the conversation we had about Microsoft, more like the rant that we had last show about Microsoft, and talking about their names and how they're always one behind because they never wanted to have an Xbox 2 compete against a PS3 or an Xbox 3 compete against a PS4, because it's just bad marketing. But then you got to come up with other names. So if you can't do that, which is the obvious choice, then you're forced to like think up stuff and then find ways to make it make sense, you know. So they did 360 to be like it's everything, and this person was saying like it was full circle, like the complete machine. And then the next one was the One, complete machine, you know, does everything. And then the X, well, because it's an Xbox, it's the Series X of Xbox. Like, isn't that ironic? I don't know, but it's just, you know, they've just had a rough time. You know, Microsoft's a lot of smart people, and they've really tried to market, and I think they just should have given up on names and just called it the Xbox.
They should have let Sega make their naming conventions. Sega has been
doing
it.
Well, the other thing, too, that's kind of hard, like you talked about, Dan, on the show last week, the different, like, the code names. You know, everything has a code name when it's in development, and then they never use those names.
Scarlet.
Yeah, like Dolphin for, like, the Nintendo 64, but then they went with 64. It was actually kind of surprising to me they went with Switch for the Switch, because a lot of times, especially, you know, Japanese companies, but even in general, like, it's such a global market, you almost don't want to have an English name for something. It's better to have a number. Because numbers are universal. Like, if it's PS5, that's in any language, it's PS5. You know, now the word PlayStation really is globally known in any language. But like, if they call it the Dolphin, like the word dolphin, like that Nintendo 64 was using, right? Like, dolphin in different languages is different things, and not everybody's gonna know what the hell a dolphin is in the world.
Isn't there a fascination in Asian cultures with English words? That's like a thing, right? Like,
there is. I mean, English is always
English, like branding and stuff like that.
Well, America used to always be like the place to market your stuff,
right.
And now it's more of a global market, but it's still very American influenced. But I think English, it may not be the most spoken language in the world, but it's at least the second most spoken probably in the world.
It's still the language of business.
It's the language of business, and it's the language of marketing, which matters more than anything. So, yeah, there is a lot of English out there for sure, but I think, you know, when it's a word that's not commonly known in other languages, you know, like taco, like that's known probably in any language. It's a Spanish word, but it's known. It's like an English word too, because it's become universal. But there's other words that you wouldn't want to use because it may not be known as commonly in other parts of the world. So numbers are better, but in this case, Xbox, they just always started out one number behind, and there was just no way to make up that ground, you know, unless they just at one point just jumped and they just said, this is the Xbox 7. Just screw you, you know, guys. There's no explanation of why it's the 7. Where's the 5 and the 6 and the, you know, I don't know. We're just calling this one the Xbox 7. I don't know. But anyway, so not to get off on a tangent again, which I guess we already did. Damn it. Too late. Okay. Larry. Love you, Larry. I want you to hear it. Like, I want to do an interview with Larry on the show. Larry, you need to reach out to me, and we're gonna get you on the show. We got to do that. We got to get you on the show. Dan, Larry says he loves you too, because he always loves me, but now he loves you too, I guess, just because you're friends with me, probably. Let's see. He thought the Xbox name thing was hilarious, so that's funny that I just got off on a rant again about it before reading this, that you like that, so that's funny. He's glad about CGF. He was asking last week about the arcade and where the arcade for CGF is going to be, because last year it was in our little upstairs COVID pit in that little tiny room. So now it's going to be downstairs where the tournaments are, and arcades will be kind of spread out more, so it's going to be a bigger area, and we have more arcades. We have more arcades committed, so it's awesome. It's very hard to get arcades. For anybody that's ever run or been part of running a convention or event, like, it's very hard to get arcades, because the people that have them, I mean, obviously they're big and hard to move, and so it's hard to find them and get people to bring them to your event. So it's just one of those struggles for people that run conventions. But we're going to have a very big arcade, probably our largest number of games, a game assortment ever for CGF. So it's going to be massive. He's asking if there's anything special for the 15th anniversary. Wait and see. But I do have at least one little special thing that I'm excited about. That I can't tell you now, but that maybe I'll tell you closer to. Maybe I'll just let it be a surprise. I don't know, or maybe I'll tell you closer to CGF. But I'm definitely not going to tell you now. But yeah, so it is our 15th anniversary, and I am excited about that. And it's going to be bigger and better than ever. We're going to have, probably when all is said and done, we're going to have more vendors, more space, more guests. more of everything. It's really massive how this show is coming together. So I am very excited for it. It's going to be a huge event. He'd like to see me and Dan play a 2-player co-op game, like Streets of Rage. We talked about Streets of Rage earlier, or Super Puzzle Fighter. Yeah, we do Toe Jam Earl. Just wander around. Yeah.
Great game.
All right. But yeah, we'll do some kind of co-op game sometime soon. All right. Enjoys the videos. He says, keep up the great work, safe travels. And he says, my dude. He calls him my dude. Larry, you're my dude. I'm not crying. You're crying. So love you, Larry. Thank you. So that's it. So thank you all for the great feedback. If you do want to reach out to me, you can comment on the YouTube stream because I see all those comments. You can comment when we post it and share it to like Facebook and social media. You can comment there. And if you download the podcast, like listen to the audio versions of this show, I think sometimes there's places to comment, aren't there? Sometimes there's not. But if there's not a place to comment wherever you're watching or listening to the show, you can always reach out to me at podcast@gameovervideogames.com. Those emails will come to me, but the reason it's not my normal email is because that way I get everything related to the show comes together, and so it's separate from my normal mountain of email. But yeah, so if you have questions, comments, concerns, requests for the show, you want to see me do something cool or exciting on the show, which when am I not doing cool and exciting stuff on the show? It's always cool and exciting, right? True. But anything else you want to suggest for the show, podcast@gameovervideogames.com. Send me an email and I will do my best to answer your questions or do whatever stunt you had in mind. Reach out that way. But yeah, thanks for your support. Like I said, this is kind of a little break in my normal week of travel and emails and just general, stress and craziness of life and work and, small business running issues because that stuff never stops. It never stops. I worked all last week. I'm going to work all this week, and I traveled and worked all weekend. So, like I said, I don't know. I don't have really any days off on the horizon. I'm always here. I'm trapped. But the show is a little break in my week where I get to just think about something, kind of outside the normal box. I get to I feel a little more like myself, because I kind of am like this. Like I'm definitely a middle-aged 90s dad, and so, yeah, I'm pretty conservative and casual and, like that. But I like to think I'm pretty funny. I don't know if you agree or not, but I do feel like the show, even though it's hard to kind of come out of my shell sometimes, like Dan has said actually earlier on the show, like once I do, I think it's pretty fun and pretty, relatable and entertaining. Right, Dan? Am I entertaining? Okay. Dan's just yawning over there. All right. Well, I used to think I was pretty entertaining, but
I love the show.
But anyway, the fact that we get comments helps because it does make me feel like somebody's watching or listening, like somebody cares and somebody appreciates it. So that's always nice, and it makes me want to keep doing it. As long as people do listen and appreciate it. And if it's just me talking to Dan, that's fun too. But I don't know. I guess it's more fun when other people listen too. So anyway, be part of the conversation. Send me comments, questions, feedback, emails, stuff like that, and I will talk about you on the show. Yeah, and maybe not in a nice way. So that's a threat. But anyway, thank you for the support. Thanks for your business and support of the Game Over Video Games stores. You can shop us 24/7 at GameOverVideogames.com. And we always appreciate your business. I mean, we're still small. I know to some people it seems like we're like this huge corporation, but we're really not. I mean, we have a very small corporate structure. It's basically just me. And every day it's a struggle, right? I mean, I fight every day for, hiring people, for keeping people, for, buying products like the NeoGeo stuff that I think customers will like in our stores. And, I work every day to try and make this thing work and make it keep working and keep being successful. Because, anytime you stop trying, it's always just a month or two, a bad month or two away from falling apart. Like it really is, a lot of juggling that goes on to run a business. And so, I have to constantly keep, my eye on the ball to keep it all going. So anyway, but thank you for your business and support. It drives me, and your purchases at Game Over help out. You watching the show helps out. You telling your friends about Game Over, even if you don't need to buy something or looking to sell something. If you tell a friend, hey, go check out Game Over Video Games, or if somebody comments on Facebook or something and says, hey, what's a cool game store near me? And there's a Game Over there, please get on there and tell them, hey, go check out that Game Over store. Would it kill you to mention Game Over? It's always appreciated because sometimes people don't do that. And, they'll be like, where's a cool game store in Houston? And we have 3 cool game stores in Houston. And by all means, mention the other ones. Like, there's some other awesome game stores in Houston. But, why not mention Game Over too in that conversation? So please keep us in that conversation. And if you're in retro collecting groups on Reddit or Facebook or Twitch or whatever, give us a shout out, man. We really appreciate it. Best advertising you can get is shout outs from regular people, like non-paid, endorsements. If you're watching on YouTube, please click subscribe. I don't say that a lot because I'm not really a YouTuber per se. I don't crank out videos every day and watch my viewer counts go up and stuff like that. I don't really care how many people watch this show. I like that some people watch it, and I like people that enjoy it. And, I think we get a lot more, traction on the podcast than the YouTube, and that's fine. I don't care where you watch or listen. I'm just trying to give you information about Game Over and our products and stuff like that. And, we want your support in any way, shape, or form. But if you do watch on YouTube, you have to press the subscribe button to actually subscribe to the show and get those alerts when a new one comes up. If you're on a podcast stream listening to that, you can normally subscribe on there too and get notifications when the new ones post. So please do that so that you know when the next shows go on. Let's see. And that's pretty much it on that. So also remember that I mentioned earlier in the show that starting next week, we're going to be posting on Fridays instead of Thursdays. So that should be a regular thing from then on, that the shows will go up on Friday. So it'll be a fun way to end your week. So Friday at work or school, you can kind of, play hooky or kind of, while you're doing your email or whatever, have a little corner of the screen with the YouTube or audio file and listen to the show on Fridays. It'll be a fun little end to the week for everybody. So that's it. So have a great week. And I'm sorry this is, I think, a little bit longer of a show. I feel kind of rambly today, so I'm sorry if I went on and on about stuff. But yeah, let's go into May strong. It's almost summertime. We're going to have fun. CGF is coming up. School's almost out if you're in school. So it's an exciting time of year. I love it. Spring, everything's blooming, turning green. It's great. So have a great week. We'll see you next time, and game over. And you know what's funny is Rob looks like, you remember the movie Short Circuit?
He does. Yeah.
In the 80s?
Yeah. Johnny
and you remember
Five.
remember Johnny Five? He did the Three Stooges thing. Remember he's like, woo, 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 and he did the thing and the,
robots.
yes. And they did the whole Three Stooges thing. That's great. You kids don't know Three Stooges. You should probably YouTube Three Stooges and watch some of that. It's really funny, early slapstick comedy. Good stuff. Beware, though, because there are some things that are politically incorrect now on that show.